Hello everyone, my alias is Amar Ahmed. I'm a barrister and solicitor. I'm going to give you a free session on Canadian professional responsibility. This is one of the NCA core subject. I'm going to show you my material first. This session is for educational and academic purposes only. No legal advice will be provided during this session. This is my material which is posted on the website. The name of my website is NCA Online Teacher. We have to prepare Canadian professional responsibility as an NCA subject from two different perspectives. This document is called Sample Problem Questions for Professional Responsibility with 10 answers. This material is available on my website. If you have purchased group tutoring for our Canadian Professional Responsibility, you will get material of this. And I'm also going to show you which other material you will get if you have purchased group tutoring for Canadian Professional Responsibility. There are more than 35, perhaps 40 questions, which are problem-based questions and hypothetically created problem questions, which we can discuss one or two questions today, and which will give you an idea that how uh, the questions may be made and then how you will be answering them. I'm also going to show you one of the answer today. There are 40 questions. So this question is maybe on page number 12, and this is one of the problem question. Let's read that. Marcia is a litigation lawyer in a small firm. Peter, a famous hockey player, comes to see her about the possibility of filing a lawsuit for sexual abuse he says he suffered as a teenager at the hands of his former coach. He tells Marcia in a way that makes her think he may be serious, that if nothing is done to hold the coach accountable, he knows someone who can take care of it another way permanently. Marcia is quite excited to have met this hockey legend and flattered that he would seek out her counsel. Marcia tells her law partner about meeting Peter and the nature of his case. She tells her husband about meeting Peter, but says that she cannot tell him anything about why Peter came to see her. Has Marcia met all of her ethical obligations? Why or why not? So this is just a hypothetical question. So when we have to answer any fact pattern question, we have to keep in view two things: relevant model code rules and relevant cases on that subject. I repeat, we have to keep in view two things. One, relevant rules from the model code, and secondly, relevant cases from our syllabus. I'm going to show you how I have prepared all those cases in a sequence. Let's read another question just for educational purposes. Jan is a lawyer. This is my question number 14, available on the website NCA Online Teacher under the tab of Group Tutoring. Jan is a lawyer in solo practice in a small town. She's asked by Carol to represent her in her divorce from her husband Mike. Mike is a self-employed architect and there will be significant issues over the valuation of his business. They also have two children, and Carol wants to get custody and move to the city to be closer to her parents. 3 years ago, Jan represented Mike. So please remember, Jan is a lawyer and Mike is now becoming her former client. 3 years ago, Jan represented Mike when he was charged with stealing a pair of sunglasses from the drugstore. Mike pled guilty and was given a conditional discharge. Jan did not meet or speak to Carol during her representation of Mike. Jan is the only family lawyer within 100 kilometers where Carol lives. Mike plans to represent himself in the family law matter. The question is, can Jan accept Carol's retainer? Why or why not? So the issue here has been framed whether Jan is qualified to accept Carol retainer in her divorce by reason of a conflict of interest. So this question primarily seems to be a question on conflict of interest. So this is the second question we have discussed. So I'm going to show you how you may like to answer a fact pattern question. So as advised earlier, in order to answer any fact pattern question, we should refer to model code rules and the relevant case laws from your syllabus. This document is called Summary of Cases, Model Code Rule Wise. So when you have to answer any problem question, you would refer to the model code rule. Model code is available publicly on Google. You just type in the Google model code and then it will show up. However, these documents or notes are my notes and they are available on the website under the tab of group tutoring. So for example, if you have to answer a question on confidentiality, so for confidentiality, the rule is 3.3. I have highlighted here. And the relevant cases on confidentiality are these cases, Pritchard and Ontario, and then these four further cases. Another example, if you have to answer a question on future harm or public safety exception, this is an exception to the rule of confidentiality. As a general rule, you as a lawyer are supposed to keep the confidentiality of your client. But there are certain exceptions mentioned in Chapter 3 of the Model Code where up to a reasonable limit you may disclose the confidential information of your client. So future harm or public safety exception is one of that. So if you are answering a question, you would refer to Rule 3.3-3 and then these are the relevant cases on that. We just read a question on conflicts. Conflict is mentioned in chapter 3.4. So if you have to answer a question on conflicts, you would refer to the relevant rule and then the relevant case law is R and nil. And these are the cases. So I hope you understand that how this document can be used. So this document has, the name of this document is Summary of Cases, Model Code Rule Wise. It mentions the rules and it also mentions the syllabus cases on that. Now I'm going to show you another document. So previously I showed you a list of cases, model code rule wise. So if you have to answer a question, problem-based question, then you can use that document because that document has model code rules and the relevant cases for that. This document is called list of cases topic wise for case-based question or essay-based question. For example, if you have to answer a question on good character requirement, so these are the cases on good character. So this document is different from the previous document. In the previous document, I have prepared that model code rule wise. This document is not model code rule wise, it is topic wise. So the emphasis here is topic wise. For example, you have to answer extra professional misconduct, then these are the cases. You have to answer competence and quality of service, then these are the cases. Then these are exceptions, legislative exceptions to confidentiality. Then this is client-client conflict. Sometimes there can be lawyer-client conflict, and sometimes there can be client-client conflict. These topics have been mentioned in chapter number 3.4 of the model code. These are very important cases, McDonald, R versus Nail, Strother. So we will read them in detail during our tutoring session. So this is the case on advocacy and civility. These are the cases on withdrawal from representation. So this document again is called topic-wise list of the cases. So now I'm going to show you another document which has been prepared for asset type question. So these are question and answers, 60 question and answer. So the detail is mentioned here. This is how the document should be understood. So this is the serial number, and here is the name of the question, like what is profession and how is law profession different from other business. Now, this is the number of the Canadian Professional Responsibility NCA syllabus. This topic has been mentioned in A-1 and in the bracket small a, and this is on page 4. Another question is, what are lawyers' obligations to themselves, to clients, to the court, and to the society? Is there a conflict? So this topic or question has been mentioned in NCA syllabus on topic A-1G. Another question is question number 12. What is self-regulation and what is the purpose of it? Explain how it is controlled, administered, and managed. This kind of question is mentioned in your NCA syllabus number A-2C. So these are 60 questions with the answers. Another question is, how are disciplinary proceedings conducted against the lawyer? Another question is, I have highlighted a few questions. What choices are available to the lawyer with respect to accepting the clients? So I'm sure now you understand what is the rationale behind these questions. So these are the questions based on Mr. Manuel's notes, and these are the numbers from the NCA syllabus. So on one side, you keep the NCA syllabus, on the other side, you keep that, and these are 60 questions with answers. Um, for example, the last questions are, what is meant by access to justice? Who should be responsible for providing access to justice? What is the role of the lawyer, the profession? So let's have a quick look at that. I have highlighted that. So during our tutoring sessions, we spend 8 to 10 hours on the essay type questions. Now I'm going to show you, my dear friends, another document. This document is called Summaries of PR Articles. There are many articles in your NCA PR syllabus. What I have done, I have compiled all articles in one document so that you know that uh, on this and this topic, this and this article writer has written the article. For example, if you have to answer on counseling and negotiations, you know that David and then Catherine have written articles on that. Another example is if you have to write an answer on corporate counsel, then you know that Milton C. Reagan, Paul D. Patton, and then Deborah, and then Paul D. Patton. So Paul D. Patton has written many articles in your syllabus relating to the role of the corporate counsel. This document is called Summaries of the PR Articles. Articles are only either in PR, Professional Responsibility, or in Foundations of Canadian Law. Another example is if you have to write an answer on role of the government lawyers. So on role of the government lawyers, you can see that Adam Dodek, Maliha Wilson, and Brent Cotter. So these three article writers have written articles on the role of the government lawyers. So instead of finding them at different places, you can just find them at one place. These are the summaries of the article. For example, you can see this is on page number 19, 20, 21. So these three articles by Adam Dodek, Maliha, Brent Cotter, they have been summarized on 3 pages. The last set of articles is on access to justice. So if you have to write something on access to justice, you know that Alice has written article on that, Gillian has written article on that, and Patricia has written articles on that, and they are mentioned on page 23 and 24. Again, three different articles on access to justice have been mentioned on these 2 pages, and this document is called Summaries of the Article. So, just to quickly revise what I have shown you so far, I have shown you summaries of cases, model code rule wise. I have shown you sample fact pattern question. I have shown you essay type questions, and now I'm showing you summaries of the PR articles. Now I'm going to show you another document which is available on the website NCA Online Teacher. This is called Important Cases in Detail. So some of the cases, they are very basics in the Canadian professional responsibility. So we will spend more time on that. There will be a special session on that. For example, Strother case. This case is for acting against former clients or for client-client conflict. R.V. Neil, this case is for client-client conflict. R.V. Cunningham, this case is for termination of the lawyer-client relationship or for withdrawal from representation. Then Smith and Jones case is for lawyer's duty to preserve client confidences. McClure case is for lawyer's duty to preserve client confidence and innocent at stake exception. McDonald case is an important case in the syllabus. It is against acting against former client or conflict arising transfer between law firms or client-client conflict. So this document is another document called Important Cases in Detail. Now I'm going to guide you how to purchase any kind of product or services from my website. Please type in the Google ncaonlineteacher.ca, ncaonlineteacher.ca. Different services will show up. This is called group tutoring. So if you click on group tutoring, it will give you the option that which subject you want to purchase. We provide tutoring services for 13 NCA subject. Please select subject of your own choice. For example, at topic at number 4, you can see group tutoring foundations of Canadian law. At number 5, you can see group tutoring contracts. At number 6, you can see group tutoring Canadian professional responsibility. At number 8, you can see group tutoring Canadian criminal law. So let's go back. If you want to purchase notes, there is an option to purchase notes. Then if you just want to purchase recording, there is an option to do that. If you want to purchase Ontario Power. So we have 4 different types of option. One is barristers live classes with video recordings. The other is only barristers recording. And the third is solicitors live classes with video recordings. And the fourth is solicitors recording. And if you just want to purchase question and answer, this option is also available. If you are visiting the website for the first time, then you would click on register. But if you have already purchased something, then you will click sign in. Once you click sign in, then you will see your subject which you have purchased. Because this is a Canadian professional responsibility free session, so I'm just going to show you group tutoring. Canadian Professional Responsibility session. Once you have purchased, these two things will show up. Green is recordings. These recordings are the latest recordings of that Canadian Professional Responsibility exam, which has recently been held. So you can see lesson one, three problem question. Lesson two, discussion on competency. Lesson three, discussion on confidentiality and its exception. Lesson 4, discussion on concurrent retainer and joint retainer. So these are very, very detailed session. Every session is around 2 hours. So you can see if you sign up, you will get 22 hours of recordings only on Canadian Professional Responsibility from one cycle. We also provide multiple resources. Now, these are the recordings from the previous session. So you not only get 22 hours of latest recordings, you also get the previous recordings of around 22 hours again. So you are getting 40 hours of recording. And this is just one aspect. I will again teach you 22 hours again for the current batch which is going on. So this is all about recordings. Now you click on materials and practice question. It is also available on the website. Now please see the headings of that. This is the first file is called fact pattern questions with 13 answer. So you have the option to click view full screen and then you will be able to see questions with 13 answer. The second is called summaries of cases model code rule wise. In the beginning of the session, I showed you that this document is model code rule wise summaries of the cases. The third document is latest important cases. The fourth document is called Summaries of Cases Topic-wise. The fifth document is called Rules of the Model Code as per syllabus. Then this is an index of the model code. So 6 files. Seventh file is flowchart on exceptions to confidentiality. This is just a 2-page document. Then there is a flow chart on withdrawal from representation, file number 8. It has only one page and this document has only 2 pages. Then this document is called quick revision of the topics before exam. This document has only 3 pages. So let's now discuss one of the topic a little bit in detail. Now we are going to discuss exceptions to confidentiality, which is another topic of the model code. Now, this is your model code, which is available on Google. Just type in the Google model code and then this will show up. However, this copy is mine. I have highlighted it here. This is rule 3.3 of the model code. This is the general rule about confidentiality. Rule 3.3-1 says a lawyer at all times must hold in strict confidence all information concerning the business and affairs of a client acquired in the course of the professional relationship and must not divulge any such information unless. So now I'm going to explain that. This is a general rule about confidentiality. It says if you are a lawyer, you have to. The option here is there is no such option. The word used here is must. If the word here used was may, then you have the option. But the word here is used is must. Must mean you don't have any option. So you must have to keep the confidential information of your client. However, the rule also has 4 exceptions. The word exception is not used here specifically, but just for teaching purposes and just to make the concept easy, I have used the word exceptions here. So these are the 4 exceptions. If your situation falls into one of these exceptions, then up to a reasonable limit, you may disclose the confidential information. What are those exceptions? Number one, expressly or impliedly authorized by the client. Number two, required by law or code to do so. Number three, required to deliver the information to the law society. Number four, otherwise permitted by this rule. I have also highlighted here. So in our regular sessions, we spend time on that, and I have made short subheadings or questions on the commentary part of the rule as well. There are more rules. So these are the commentaries of the rule. So there are 10, 11 commentaries of that rule. Now, these are further exceptions. So the four exceptions were mentioned earlier. Now, this is another exception. This exception is called future harm or public safety exception. Let's read this rule and then I'm going to explain that. This rule says a lawyer may disclose confidential information. So this is your discretion, but must not disclose. Here there is no discretion, but must not disclose more information than is required when the lawyer believes on reasonable grounds that there is an imminent risk of death or serious bodily harm, and disclosure is necessary to prevent the death or harm. Now, what is the situation? You are a lawyer, husband comes to you, and husband says that I want to fix my partner. I want to fix my partner. I'm just creating a situation. Now you have to determine, is that a future harm or is that a public safety exception? Now let's apply this rule on this question that husband says that he is going to fix her partner for whatever reason. So you have to apply that. Is there an imminent risk in that? Or is there a risk of death or serious bodily harm? The word used in the question is, I'm going to fix that. Does that fix mean imminent risk? You have to discuss that. Does that fix mean serious bodily harm? You have to determine that. This is your discretion. But once you have determined that, then you must not disclose more information than is required. So this is called future harm or public safety exception. But this is one of the exceptions. So four exceptions we discussed earlier. This is one more exception. We may also call it the fifth one. And then this has also commentary. So you can see I have highlighted and I have created short subheadings which we discuss during our detailed tutoring session. Now this is further exception. The further exceptions have been mentioned in Rule 3.3-4, Rule 3.3-5, 3.3-6, 3.3-7. All these exceptions will be discussed in my next session. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please feel free to send me a message on Messenger or on WhatsApp. The name of the website is NCA Online Teacher. Thank you for watching this free session for educational and academic purposes on Canadian professional responsibility. Thank you.